welcome to today's episode of The Jazz Show. Today we will be talking about the Harlem Renaissance. Please enjoy.
People called it the Harlem Renaissance because it came from a generation that had memories of the gains and losses after the Civil War. The Harlem Renaissance was an intellectual and cultural revival of African American music, dance, art, fashion, literature, theater, and politics.
The Harlem Renaissance encompassed various forms of art, but we're going to talk about one that brought a new era, jazz. The Harlem Renaissance described it as a spiritual coming of age in which African Americans transformed social disillusionment to race pride. The neighborhoods bustled with African American owned, run publishing houses, newspapers, music companies, playhouses, nightclubs, and cabarets. The literature, music, fashion created defined culture and cool for blacks and whites alike in America and around the world.
Nightclubs were a big part of the Harlem Renaissance by generating interest in African American culture and making it seem glamorous, which made good and bad speculation. Examples are the Lenox Club, the Plantation Inn, the Savory Ballroom, and the Renaissance Casino and Ballroom. The Great Migration brought the two waves of over 6 million people brought from rural areas to southern states.
White lawmakers on state and local levels passed strict racial segregation laws known as Jim Crow laws that made African Americans second-class citizens. While a small number of African Americans were able to become landowners, most were exploited as sharecroppers, a system designed to keep them poor and powerless.
The Great Migration drew to Harlem some of the greatest minds and brightest talents of the day, an astonishing array of African American artists and scholars. Between the end of World War I in the mid-1930s, they produced one of the most significant eras of cultural expression in the nation's history, the Harlem Renaissance. And now, a word from our sponsors.
I wish there was something to do on this rainy day.
Don't worry, we have this TV.
What's that?
It's wired to show you basically anything you want. You can watch shows that are funny, or sad, or happy.
Oh my god, I want one.
I think I saw one down the road.
I'm gonna go get one.
Don't you wish there was music at this party?
Yeah, this party's so lame.
I have an idea. Why don't we use my jukebox?
What's a jukebox?
You can play any music you want.
This is my jam. Isn't this party much more better?
Yeah.
Idiots, you didn't see the stop sign.
What does a stop sign do?
It means you have to stop and look both ways before you cross. So if you see a stop sign, you better stop.
To avoid incidents like this.
Edward Kidd Ory, born in Laplace, Louisiana on Christmas Day, 1886, Edward Kidd Ory was one of the pioneers of New Orleans jazz. Ory was one of the earliest jazz trombonists, playing in a tailgate style behind the trumpet and clarinet. As a 10-year-old, Ory started playing banjo, which later influenced the way he would play trombone. His first trombone was of the value variety before graduating to the slide instrument. It is rumored that at the age of 13, Kidd was visiting his sister in New Orleans, practicing on his value trombone in the parlor. There was a knock on the door, and when his sister answered, there stood band leader Buddy Bolden, who offered Ory a place in his band.
Jazz had become popular music in America, although other generations considered the music immoral and threatening to cultural values. Dances such as the Charleston and the Black Bottom were very popular during this period. Jazz bands typically consisted of 7 to 12 musicians. Important orchestras in New York were led by Fletcher Henderson, Paul Whiteman, and Duke Ellington.
It was the great classic jazz singers of the 1920s, Mame Smith, Ida Cox, Ma Rainey, and Bessie Smith, whose vocal styling inspired the likes of future jazz greats and singers like Billie Holiday and Nina Simone. Did you know that Mame Smith was the first African-American artist to make the vocal blues recordings? She could do it all. She was a vaudeville singer, a dancer, a pianist, and even an actress.
Take 18.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of The Jazz Show. Today we will be talking about the Harlem Renaissance. The Harlem Renaissance. Now let's go see the idiots in the hall.
Yeah.
Okay.
NBC News.
NBC News. And CJ's headless baby.
Just put it on underneath the table.
Okay. Go.
Okay, ready? Move the hairbrush.
It's the microphone.
People